Hey, Side Hustle Saturday crew. It's your girl Lisa, and today we're talking about banking on your hustle in a major way. We've got a powerhouse in the building, Cristina Avila, representing Chase for Business Coaching for Impact program. Now, this is a game changing initiative that's redefining how big banks show up for small business owners. Now, Christina is breaking down how Chase is more than just cutting checks, y'all. She is helping entrepreneurs through capital access, coaching, education, and real community investment. So, if you ever wonder, am I ready for a business bank account? Or how do I get support beyond the money? Then this one is for you. Let's get it. Hey everybody, this is Lisa, the host of Side Hustle Saturday, and today is another edition of Side Hustle Saturday Hustle Talks. But it's a special edition because I'm not interviewing an entrepreneur per se, but I'm interviewing an institution that helps entrepreneurs. Please help me welcome Cristina Avila, who is working with Chase Bank for the Chase for Business Impact Program.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
Christina, because she helped me out. She helped me out when I first heard about. I met you at a function.
Yes. I think was it through the Urban Accelerate Pro? No, it was somewhere.
ECDI.
ECDI. Yes.
It was a conference they had.
Yes.
And I was going around making my networking rounds. And I met Christina, which talks about the power of networking. And she said, hey, we have this program called the Chase for Business Impact Program.
Yes.
I'd like to talk to you about you and your business and how Chase can support you.
Yes.
And I was like, okay.
Yes.
And with that partnership and networking, she has really helped my business, Studio 951 Digital Marketing Agency, see things in a different way. She helped me elevate my business. She helped me financially with some financial advice. She connected me with different partners in the bank to help my business. So I had to get her on the show so she could talk about the impact that Chase Bank has with and what they do for entrepreneurs. Um, so let's just start with tell us about Chase and how you got started with the Chase for Business Impact Program.
Yeah, so it's been a journey. It's been a great journey, but I started in 2022. Well, actually, let me backtrack. So the Coaching for Impact program started in 2020, and it typically, our CEO saw the foresight of helping small business owners, and so he created the Coaching for Impact program initially in cities like Detroit, Los Angeles, Houston, Boston, New York, the major cities, but Columbus was then added in 2022, and that's when I started. I always make the joke like they slid into my LinkedIn DMs and, told me about the program. And honestly, Lisa, by the time because I wasn't looking for new opportunities, but by the time I saw the message, it was like 2 months old. So I was like, oh, this position has already been filled. It's, it's a great position being a consultant, right? A business consultant, to this complimentary free program. So I'm like, it's a free program to business owners in Columbus. This position is filled. Mm-hmm. Well, I messaged back like, hey, I am interested if it's still open. And the position was still opened. And so I went through the interview process and here I am. So in 2022.
There you go. That's why I check out message.
Yeah, exactly.
So for the people that are unfamiliar with the program, talk to us about what the program is about and how does it help entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so it's like I already mentioned, it's a complimentary advisory program. I always like to use the word advisory, consultant, coach. where we just do one-on-one. It's more of like a vulnerable, intimate setting instead of being in the kind of a cohort style, which a lot of the programs out there are like. This is more like we meet one-on-one consulting, where we help support business owners on 5 pillars. And so the 5 pillars are access to capital, operations management, business development, navigating your cash flow, and building a team of trusted advisors. And so we offer the 5 pillars to the business owners. They typically will pick 2 out of the pillars where they have weaknesses in, and then we help strengthen those weaknesses, and we focus on those 2 pillars and help, again, in whatever they need to help them reach their short-term and long-term goals.
You know, as entrepreneurs and early onset side hustlers and entrepreneurs, managing your finances is the biggest hurdle that a lot of us face. Talk to us about some of the struggles that you've seen while working with entrepreneurs, and what are some of the things that you can give as far as advice that side hustlers and entrepreneurs can do?
Yeah. The biggest challenge that I see is commingling the funds. So typically business owners, they are very passionate, they're dreamers, right? And they get to buying things right away for their business, but they buy it on their personal credit, they buy it, personal funds. And then they don't separate it, right? So if it's a business expense, it should be on business credit, or a business comes out of a business checking account. And so the way that we help with that is by doing the coaching, kind of uncovering that behavior and that habit, and helping them realize why it's important to keep everything separate. And so that's usually the number one challenge that I see, is the commingling of funds, or using personal credit cards to fund the business.
Now, when we worked together and I was part of the program, it allowed Studio 951 to be in places that I would have never been able to get into just doing this on my own. Talk to us about some of the partnership opportunities that the program offers, and what are some of the things that you have done for other entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so Chase, I really say that I'm blessed to do the work that I do, because Chase is backing me up with all of Chase's resources, especially here in Central Ohio. And so Chase is the number one employer here in Columbus, Ohio. So we are really truly embedded in the community. We have a lot of partnerships with a lot of different organizations. We support a lot of them, including the Chamber of Commerce, the Columbus Urban League. So I really am able to tap on the shoulders of all of our partners, or tap on the shoulders of somebody within the firm and say, hey, I have an entrepreneur who has this challenge, has this, issue. Can you help support? And everyone is willing to roll up the sleeves and help support in one way or another. So that's truly, it's kind of like a one Chase, all-inclusive approach, that I can tap in on one of the 20,000 employees that are right here. So if I don't have the answer, I always promise I'll find someone that does have the answer. And we kind of just, hit the ground running and help and support.
Yeah, I think that's really important. You bring up a good point about collaboration and partnership, because from what I see in the business and being an entrepreneur and a side hustler, we're out here doing it solo. And I had talked to someone, and they said 90% of businesses run with one person,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they don't take that opportunity to network and partner and develop partnerships. How key is that to someone, how important is that to someone that's trying to build their business?
It's extremely important. As you can know, one of the pillars is building a team of trusted advisors, right? Because typically business owners are an expert on what their business is, right? And they try to wear many hats, and get overwhelmed with all of the hats that they're wearing. But instead, it's like, you have a whole community right here. You have support. You can go to any of the Chase branches and ask for help. Sometimes it's hard to ask for help, but the resources are right here. You go into, we actually just did a community center in Northern Lights in the Linden area, where there's a ton of resources right there. Jamie Dimon was here during the ribbon cutting, came down to Linden, and, that also shows like, hey, we have a whole entire community center was built here in Columbus. Go into the Northern Lights branch, and get some support. But no, it's important because, if you're not an expert on something, it's okay to say that, and it's okay to find someone who is. I've been in business banking for 15 years. So, I pride myself on knowing all the things, business, banking, and being bankable and lendable. So it's like, come see us. Like, we're right here. Like, don't be afraid. You're not alone at all whatsoever.
This segment of Hustle Talks is brought to you by Studio 951. Need a game-changing marketing strategy? At Studio 951, we help businesses stand out with expert branding, social media management, content creation, web design, and video editing. From crafting eye-catching visuals to driving engagement, we bring your brand to life online and beyond. Ready to grow? Let's build something amazing together. Visit studio-951.com today. I think when you talk about business banking products, I think there's what is that?
Yeah.
People get scared. Talk about how key. I know you touched on it a little bit, but you do need to separate your personal from your business. Could you talk about that a little bit more and go into that? Like, why should you be doing that, and what's the purpose of that?
Yeah, so I think the first thing people should do, and they, register to the Secretary of State, is go open up a bank account. Start that relationship with that bank. The sooner you start the relationship, the sooner they know the ins and out of your business. So when the time comes that you are asking for funds, they already have the history, right? It's said like, hey, we've been in a banking partner of yours for X amount of years. We've been there from the beginning. So start that relationship. Have a banker on speed dial. I can't stress that enough.
Right. That is true.
Have somebody's number, like as we all learned through the pandemic, right? When it was time for people to get PPP funds, they didn't know who to call. Or they were in some national queue somewhere, like, hey, I submitted my application and I haven't heard back, right? So if that has taught us anything, it's have that banker on speed dial, give them a call and say, hey, this is, what my business is going through right now. How can you help? What is out there, what products are out there, et cetera. But just kind of be in the know because products change all the time too.
Yeah.
So if you're not reviewing, your banking relationship at least yearly, at the bare minimum, stop in and just seek help. It's the same with like going to a doctor's, right? You go to your dentist twice a year, you go to your doctors once a year. Financial health is as important as mental and physical health.
I agree. And you made a good segue because when I started my entrepreneurial journey, and started down the road of doing Studio 951, I was like, it was really daunting to kind of go into the business
Yeah.
checking credit world or loan world because my literacy was not there.
Yeah.
Talk about the importance of having financial literacy because it kind of was like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm going to do what I know, which is my personal checking account.
Yeah.
I'm not telling y'all to do that. I'm just saying have the courage to get some financial literacy. Talk about that.
No, yeah, that is extremely important. And Chase recognizes that is extremely important. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you brought up financial literacy because we host monthly financial literacy workshops right here at the branch. And we don't just cover business topics, we cover savings, budgeting, becoming a home buyer. What does that mean? We break things down to really layman's terms people can understand. But it's the first Thursday of every month and the last Friday of every month. You can get into a workshop, whether it's the last Friday of every month is actually a hybrid. So you can do virtual and come in person into the branch. But the first Thursday one is in person and really just learn. It's important to know where you are and where you're going, right? 100%. Know the path.
Right.
A lot of people, they're running fast or they're driving really fast, let's say at 80 miles an hour, but they don't realize that their tank is on E. right? So you're not going to get there.
Right.
You're driving, but then you look at the tank like, man, I didn't fill up.
Right.
I need to pull over and fill up. So I think, that's what financial literacy is. It's just like learning and educating, because if you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
And seeking those experts that can teach you. There's a lot that I don't know, right? And so when I don't know something, I'm like, I want to learn. I want to ask questions. Let me get myself into those rooms. Kind of like you mentioned earlier, right? Getting into certain rooms and networking. But let me get into that room and let me see if I can get the answers to my questions. That way I know where I'm going. But the first step is getting the information. We're not saying you have to change your life tomorrow, right?
Right.
Once you get it, but get it and then set up a plan.
100%, I agree. And don't be scared. I heard entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, are the ones that take risks.
Yes.
So take a risk and separate that personal from your business and get that financial literacy. Can you highlight some success stories?
Whew, there's a lot. I am proud to say that there's a few. We'll probably be here all day, but there's a few. The few that I'll go with the first. This is actually one of my very first clients that I met that reached out to me. Like I mentioned, I started in June of 22. I was just getting out of training when I got a message from Ty. He's the owner of Quarencia, so he's my very first client. And he owns Quarencia. It's like an apparel business, right here, local, Columbus owned. We started working together, and quickly, we were such a good match. I remember one time I was late or missed one of our meetings, and he texted me like, if you can't make one of our meetings, you got to make sure to let me know. I said, oh, okay. You're serious,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so give me the first person to get me together. But so that was one. And then shortly after that, Nicole with Sauce Boss Gang. It's woman-owned business, also right here in Columbus, manufactured in Columbus as well. She does hot sauces. Her branding is a whole vibe. I love her branding. We have Marvin Green and Charles Peaks. They're owners of Leafy Products. But these are all business owners that I always say their train was moving, and it was either Cristina, get on the train or get out the way. Get on or get off. Right. Yeah. And I decided to jump on, and they were leading, their brands in their industries. But again, there was a little bit of gaps that needed to be filled, and those pillars. And so, I went ahead and, rolled up my sleeve and we started working. I pride myself in, working in the business with them, and working on the business with them too, because a lot of business owners don't take the time to work on the business. They're constantly just moving. But they had, structure and schedules where they were very intentional and they knew where they wanted to go. They knew their strategy. They knew their plan. Like I said, but I just kind of hopped on and helped them on some execution stuff, and then also help them just fill in some of those gaps. And they've grown, significantly since joining the program. So really proud to say that I was a small part in their journey. Yeah.
If you're ready to take your business to the next level, our sponsor, Complete One LLC, has got you covered. Need a game-changing website, eye-catching logo, sleek business cards, or even expert video editing? They do it all, because your success is their priority. At Complete One LLC, they don't just create, they elevate, helping you think strategically and bring your vision to life. Your brand deserves the best, and they're here to make it happen. So why wait? Let's build something great together. Visit Complete One LLC today, where your vision gets completed.
So now you work with a lot of different entrepreneurs. What are some of the traits or habits that you've seen from some of the successful entrepreneurs who are thriving and growing? Can you pinpoint some traits?
Honestly, yes. Consistency. They're consistent. They have a business plan. They know who their the target customer is, right? And like I said, just consistent on trying to execute that plan. They don't lose sight of it, but they're just consistent, even on days that you don't want to do it, right? There are days you wake up as an entrepreneur like, I don't want to do this today, and that's okay. But then it's like, okay, but this is what I need to do, right? I need to send that message. I need to go to that networking event. I need to meet this person, meet that person, and just have intentionality. But be consistent and persistent on the overall goal. And honestly, too, I would say so another trait that I see is they don't give up. Like it's just even on days where revenues are low, right? And you feel like, why am I doing this, right? You have those moments, but they jump right in and they're like, okay, no, this is why I'm doing it. I'm passionate about this, and so that's what I would say because they're all consistent with their behaviors.
Now, for some of those doers and dreamers and side hustlers that are out there, what would you say to them to say, all right, I'm going to take this week to the bank? What would you say to them right now?
I would say open up that account.
Mm.
Open up that account. I think it makes, when you're dreaming, it makes it real. Like now I have this business checking account. I have this business debit card. This is a real business, right? Makes you feel more legit, makes you feel more real. So I would say go for it. Like you mentioned earlier, don't be afraid, don't be scared.
Yeah.
Just go for it. It is going to be scary, but you're not alone, right? You have us here at the bank. My program, the Coaching for Impact program, has grown to the point where now it's not just me in Columbus. We have a second seat, Mr. Thomas Walker. Check him out. That's my partner in crime. He's also here supporting small business owners. We have, community managers like Erica Wicks, Marlon Platt. Check them out as well. They do all the financial literacy workshops for personal, like I mentioned, savings, budgeting, etc. But you're not alone, right? Open up that account, come into a brand, seek those experts that will meet with you, talk with you, go over a plan with you, and then just do check-ins. Not being afraid, like you're not alone. Let's talk about it. Let's come up with a plan and let's execute the plan together.
100%. Now, is the program now we're in Columbus, Ohio, everybody, but it's a program if somebody that's listening from Cleveland or Cincinnati or Nashville, Tennessee, and there's a Chase, is that program also in those banking institutions?
Yeah, so we're in major markets. If you go to chase.com/coaching for impact, you can fill out an inquiry form and they'll get you to the closest consultant. But I believe, we're in all the major cities in the United States. So yeah, there's a lot of us, and the team continues to grow. I want to say we're in 86 cities.
Now, like I said, we're in Columbus, Ohio, but if somebody is watching this on one of my social media platforms or on YouTube and they wanted to get in contact with you, how would they do that?
Chase.com/coaching for impact. Or just look me up on LinkedIn. Send me a DM. And I always check my LinkedIn. So it's Cristina, and then with no H, Cristina.
Get it right.
Last name Avila, A-V as in Victor, I-L-A. Look me up on LinkedIn. Send me a message.
Cristina, thank you so much. It was a surprise to me. I have to thank you, and I have to thank Chase and the program because it was a surprise to me. You're like, yeah, I'll be on your podcast. I was like, for real?
Yes.
But thank you because that's what this platform is for. It's about educating. It's about supporting one another. And we can't do that if we're gatekeeping. Or
That's right.
We can't do that if you're not big enough for me. I can't talk to you right now. Hook me up when you get to about 100,000 subscribers. That's not what this is about.
No.
This is about growth. This is about helping one another. And this is about taking our businesses and holding each other's hand and holding each other accountable as we're doing it.
That's right.
So thank you so much for taking the time to be on my podcast.
Yes, thank you for having me. This has been fun. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Side Hustle Saturday Hustle Talks community, y'all know what to do. Y'all need to follow me on my YouTube at Side Hustle Saturday. You need to follow me on Instagram at Side Hustle _Saturday and follow me on TikTok. Yes, your girl's on TikTok at side hustle underscore Saturday. And you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to talk to you soon.